know you heard me on the radio. Flexing, she loved the sound of my voice, it's the best thing. Daydreaming of the jazz all day. Pick up the phone late night with Larry K. I know you heard me on the radio. Flexing, she loved the sound of my voice, it's the best thing. Daydreaming of the jazz all day. Pick up the phone late night with Larry K.
Is your soul crushed? Are you sitting there in misery because the Dolphins lost a game in the waning seconds to the Carolina Panthers, a team that came into this game 1-3 and now moved to 2-3 while the hapless Miami Dolphins go 1-4? Is your soul crushed? Are you in fury? Are you cursing at the skies that your Miami Dolphins would let you down again? Well, if you are, I feel real sorry for you, bro. Because my soul was crushed against the Tennessee Titans 2 years ago. Because that's the last time this franchise had an actual shot at being a contender. I predicted that we'd beat the Carolina Panthers because the Carolina Panthers are friggin' terrible, bro. They're a terrible team. The Dolphins tried their best to give this game away much earlier, but Bryce Young was so hapless in so many spots that it was impossible for them to do it until the very end. I predicted a win, but alas, it is a loss. And I know there's some of you out there, man. I know there's some two-and-ears out there. I know there's some of those Pollyanna fans, those super positive people that just can't let go of the addiction. And I understand the addiction because this is Phin-Addict fury. And I'm furious as always because this team makes me furious for the last 30 years of my life. But there were some of you out there, I know it, I could feel it. I could feel that narrative percolating, that narrative that you wanted it to come out so bad. You could feel, you could taste it. Oh, we could do it. We could get into the playoffs. Tua could do it. Look at that game he had. All those completions, so pretty. We could do it. You were about to get like this. Oh, but if we just do this, and if so-and-so loses to who, and we beat them, but they lost to them, and we lost to them, but they haven't been that good. You know, they've been really showing something. Oh, yeah. You were going to be this guy. These guys were waiting in the wings. These guys were waiting in the wings, but it wasn't to be had. The Miami Dolphins continue a terrible season. And if I seem not that upset or I seem like I'm almost, hey, I was right, it's not because I'm happy that the team sucks and is 1-4. It's because we're one step closer to finally turning the page on this regime, on this iteration of the franchise. I want to go to the next chapter. I've had it with this chapter already. This guy right here, make it happen. Let's end this nonsense. It's not going anywhere. Even if we had won this game, guys, we wouldn't be going anywhere. We wouldn't be making the playoffs despite your best Pollyanna efforts. We wouldn't be turning the corner. This coach wouldn't be the answer. This GM wouldn't be the answer. This quarterback wouldn't be the answer. It wouldn't have changed anything. The only thing it would have done is delay the inevitable and give some of this crazy people who are not objective a reason to spin more false narratives. This team is terrible. The Carolina Panthers are not good. We've beaten just one team this year, and do you know who that team is? That's the New York Jets. The New York Jets, who are getting friggin' pummeled by Dallas right now. The New York Jets have not won a single game. In fact, they're so bad that as bad as the New York Jets history is, Aaron Glenn's still going to be the first Jets coach in history to start the season 0-5 in history, in Jets history. And I know that because I live here and they were talking about it. He's the first guy to start 0-5. That's how bad the Jets are, and the Jets are already bad. That's the only team we could barely beat is the New York Jets. And we did it by turning the ball over a bunch of times. Otherwise, they would have scored on us. It would have been a different story. This team just doesn't have what it takes, and it's time to turn the page. I know some of you out there with your narratives were getting real excited, but Tua Tagovailoa, let's face it, right? The Miami Dolphins in this game, they come out to a rip-roaring start. They come up and they come out and they go up 17-0. 17-0 this team goes. And they proceed to barely score any points for the entire rest of the game. They went up 17-0 in the second quarter, and the final score was 24-27 Carolina. That means Miami scored one time in the entire second half. And it was a pass from Tua to Jalen Waddle. And guess what? The defender who had been struggling all game anyway, who got rolled up on, was banged up. He lost his man. Waddle, who I still think is a good player. I like Waddle a lot. I hope he sticks with the team even if we turn the page. Waddle gets free. Waddle's wide open. Tua underthrows the ball. That's the thing. He underthrows it again. Even Mark Schlereth on the broadcast had to say, well, it was a little underthrown, but it didn't matter because it was underthrown. Tua underthrew the ball again. And what gets me about that play is after a quarter and a half of hapless play, of just absolutely no offense, of this team not being able to get anything going outside of Darren Waller, who's making a heroic comeback after a year of retirement. After this team not being able to get anything going, Tua underthrows the ball to Waddle. Underthrows the ball to Waddle and starts doing like a dance, like he's all that. Bro, this is the Carolina Panthers. They suck. You beat the worst team in football in the Jets last week. You underthrew the ball and the defenders banged up drops, and you're dancing, and you're dancing. Bro, it ain't that serious. If that's the pinnacle of your accomplishment, and it was, if that's the pinnacle of your accomplishments today on this Sunday afternoon, and then you lose to a 1-3 Panthers team, that's pretty pathetic. But that's what this team has been. That's what this regime has been. That's what this iteration and chapter of the Miami Dolphins has been. That's why I'm ready to turn the page. That's why this channel keeps it real and has been keeping it real. That's why last week I was happy with the win. It's always fun to have a victory, but I knew it wasn't going to change anything overall, and I knew we were still headed towards the same place. If this accelerates us getting to that place, if this wakes up Magoo, Stephen Ross, if this gets things where they need to go, if this gives us a better draft position, I'm all for it in that way because this team is what they are. Total yards in this game, I want you to pay attention. Total yards in this game, 418 for Carolina to 248 for us. 418 to 248, the Carolina Panthers are running circles around us. What I was getting to a minute ago, speaking of those yards, we started off really good and clicking on all cylinders. But part of the problem as the second half progressed was Tua was not always on target. Yeah, the offensive line also had trouble. Mike McDaniel as a play caller, again, wasn't doing anything inventive. Darren Waller's on a pitch count, whatever the case may be. But also, Tua's not as sharp as he was. And on that on that last drive, before Carolina got the ball back and then deaded things with the penalty, Tua threw the ball over Waddle's head again, and it should have been a completion, should have kept the drive alive. But instead, Waddle had to reach up and knock the ball out of the air before it was another overthrown pick in the middle of the field. Tua's been having the same mistake of this overthrown pick in the middle of the field all season. And it was about to happen to end the game again this game. If Waddle didn't stick his hand up, the game doesn't end with Carolina getting a pass interference penalty and therefore killing the clock. The game ends with an interception on Tua once again. It would have been even more fitting. But another, just looking into the stats, rushing yards. Carolina, 239 yards on the ground. The Miami Dolphins, 19. I want to run that back. Carolina, 239 yards on the ground. The Miami Dolphins, 19. If that's not a microcosm of how soft this team is and how errant this philosophy is with this team, I don't know what is. That is so indicative of how bad this team is as far as toughness and in the trenches and hard-nosed football, that Carolina absolutely dominated us that much on the ground. It's a joke. Dowdle, just an excellent game from Dowdle. 23 rushes for 206 friggin' yards, 9 yards a carry. Dowdle was averaging 9 yards a carry. 206 yards. All these people calling for Weaver like he's the answer. You are smoking something. The retooling of this defense, the change in philosophy, the defensive coordinator, all this nonsense. Cut me a break. Carolina gashed you, bro. They gashed you for 206 yards on the ground, and you had 19. Bro, what are we doing with this regime? Jalen Waddle, 6 receptions for 110 yards, a touchdown, had that underthrow. Waller out there doing beast work, but it ain't enough. Tua, 27 to 36, 256 yards, 3 touchdowns. To be honest, that stat line looks good. And that's been the problem with Tua and with the Dolphins and with the Tuaniers and everything for years now. They look at the stat line. You see that stat line, 27 to 36 for 256 yards, 3 touchdowns. That's going to go into the stat book. And then that stat book is going to turn into an overall mathematical equation about the whole season. And that game in and of itself, that game of stats, if you didn't know about the almost pick at the end on what should have been a wide open completion, which might have won the game. If you didn't know that Tua was off and not playing so great, not finding his guys for most of the middle of this game, and maybe could have run out to a 36 to 14 or something, 36 to 10 lead. And maybe if you don't know that Tua should have had 450 yards and 5 touchdowns based on how bad Carolina is, maybe that stat line looks good. And that's the problem with the overall argument about this regime and about Tua in general, is that the stat line doesn't always look bad, but the results in the eye test on the field and the win-loss column doesn't look good. And that's why we are where we are. And all the people that have been talking about Mike and Tua and this and that and the Dolphins, and we could turn the corner and we might be good. Bro, you are not going to be good. This team was not going to be good. I said this team was not going to be good. That's why you should be listening to Phin-Addict Fury, Larry K, and not these other people that are spinning nonsense for you to try to get you hyped. And that includes the NFL and the media themselves. Trying to get you hyped, trying to hook you in. I've been telling you from jump, don't get too excited. We got to turn the page. The best thing that could happen to this franchise is starting over and getting excited about that, because there's nothing to be excited about with this current regime. But that stat line can be misleading. And that's what happens with this team. Bryce Young, 19 of 30, 198 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. The dude ain't it, I don't think. But yet he still managed to beat the Dolphins. He's still, you line up across from Tua Tagovailoa, who's supposed to be a game-changing, generational talent, and you beat him, and you're not even good. That's a problem. But it's not just Tua, it's the defense. It's the head coach. And how about Mike McDaniel? How about Mike McDaniel going out the way he did? He had a timeout to give. First of all, they didn't even bother calling a timeout. I guess you're trying to stop Carolina 3 times. I guess it's, 6 of this, half dozen of the other. But he goes out. This guy right here, Mikey McDonald's, which is going to be soon, unfortunately. He goes out, not even calling a timeout. After that penalty, he just lets the clock run. He's defeated. He's done it. And here's the thing. I don't even actually want to clown on Mike that way, because I actually think Mike is a really talented, very good X's and O play designer, offensive coordinator. I think Mike McDaniel has a bright future. I hate to say it, and I know people are going to be mad at me. And I'm not giving him a pass, and I don't think he's the answer here. And I don't think he had the right skill set to be a head coach in this environment and to be a cultural trendsetter and set the tone for the attitude of this team, unlike a Dan Campbell, who 100% does. I don't think that he was ever that guy. So I'm not giving him a pass as far as being a head coach. But I am going to tell you that I think Mike McDaniel as a play designer, a schemer, is really good. And he's got a bright future doing that. And if that ever develops into head coaching opportunity again, we'll see what happens. But I think he's got a lot of talent as an offensive play designer. But as a play caller, as a leader, as a cultural trendsetter, I don't see it. And him going out the way he went out at the end of that game, I think it shows how defeated he is. Didn't even bother going out with your chin up and calling the timeout and making them run another play. It's just, hey, we're content. We lost to the Carolina Panthers. We're 1-4. The only team we beat is 0-5. And we're content with that. Guys, it's time to start turning the page. Turn the page right now. Start moving some of these players. Look, I got some hate. I got less hate as the offseason progressed and Tyreek got in even more off the field trouble. But I've been saying since last year, Tyreek was going to plateau. He was eventually going to decline. He had a lot of off the field stuff. I wasn't vibing with a lot of the off the field stuff already last year, and I'm definitely not vibing with it here. Godspeed to him for his recovery. Like I said, I never want to see anybody get injured. But we should have moved on from Tyreek. We should have tried to trade him for chips. And now we're not going to get anything for him. And there's other guys on this roster. This team is not going anywhere. This regime is not going anywhere. You better be looking to move guys for assets for the next regime, for the next GM, for the next head coach. You better be looking to move guys for assets. And Stephen Ross better get real about starting to pivot and get a head start on his GM and his coaching search. And by the way, I know there's all this talk. Big O and all these guys are saying Tua is here for another year. Maybe he is, because you're going to have dead cap space. But dead cap space is the same as spent cap space. Doesn't matter. If you're going to pivot and turn the corner and the guy, you don't want him on the team as a distraction, you want a completely clean slate, you eat the dead cap because it doesn't matter either way. And maybe Tua is gone next year. I don't know what's going to happen, but Stephen Ross, Magoo, he better get going. Dolphins lose another game. Larry K keeps it real. I've been keeping it real. If this is the first time listening to this show, click that subscribe button. Click subscribe. Join the Fury fam. Be a part of Fury fam. Click that subscribe button. Let's continue to grow this show. Let's continue to keep it real and be a voice of reason. And when the next chapter starts, we're going to be on the ground with you with the nuts and bolts and analyzing the picks and the drafts and, the moves and the personnel and the coordinators, because I'm excited. I'm excited to rebuild this thing. I'm excited for the next chapter in the Miami Dolphins. I lost hope on this one 2 years ago. If you're just catching up, that's on you. But Phin-Addict Fury has been keeping it real since then. Become a member. I write a weekly column. If you don't know about it, click right there. Become a member. Click join. Click that join button. There's 3 different membership levels. If you join the executives table, you get to submit your rants to air on this channel. You get to submit your written columns. And once you sign up as a member, make sure you send me. There's a video on there for members only. Gives my email address. Email me your address, and you get a free gift for becoming a member of Fury Fam. So go out there and join. Subscribe. 2 Guys with Glasses podcast coming at you Tuesday. Me and G. Stay tuned for G's Rant 2. We got all the ranting and raving and reality here on the Phin-Addict Fury channel because the Miami Dolphins dropped a 1-4 once again. Larry K will be ranting on Tuesday, and I'll continue it right through this season because I do this for you guys, the Fury fam. This team has long let me down, but if I didn't have you to talk to, I don't know what I would do on my Sundays, given how much in despair this team has put me. And by the way, shout out to Shake, who made the trip all the way out to Carolina. It looks like you had a good time regardless, my brother. It just sucks that this is another loss for you at the game, but I saw you with the guys. It looks like you had fun. So love to all the Fury fam. Love to Phins Nation. Larry K is sadly out. We are down, but we are not done. The Dolphins will be back, just not with this squad. All right? Talk to you guys soon. Later.
I know you heard me on the radio flexing. She loved the sound of my voice, it's the best thing. Daydreaming of the jazz all day.